So Mercedes are claiming that their 2022 Formula 1 car is not going to be in contention to win a Grand Prix this year. To those who have been following Formula 1 for a number of years now, doesn't this sound a little bit familiar? This kind of reminds me of The Boy Who Cried Wolf, or Toto Wolff if you will. You see, Mercedes are notorious for sandbagging and saying that their car isn't nearly as quick as any of the others. Now if you don't know what sandbagging is, in simple terms, it's hiding the performance or look of your car to make it seem a lot slower, when in actuality it's usually pretty quick. Now usually in pre-season testing, Mercedes seem to be a little bit off the pace, but they always seem to have somewhat control of their car. But in 2022, they seem to have the worst porpoising of anyone. Now when I say porpoising, of course, but as it reaches almost its maximum downforce, the air below the car loses almost all its pressure, which basically pushes the car back up. Now that the car's back at its usual ride height, the downforce is applied again, which causes low pressure under the car, which pushes it back up, and you get the idea. And in Barcelona, Mercedes seems to be one of the few teams who are really struggling with loads of porpoising, along with the likes of Haas and Alfa Romeo. Mercedes end up implementing a few new floor designs to try and combat this problem. And throughout the entire week, we had George Russell saying, "Ooh, some red and orange cars seem very fast." Then let's skip forward to Bahrain testing, and Mercedes turned up with a, let's say, thinner design. If you don't know, Mercedes literally had no side pod whatsoever. They did have these tiny little side pod things poking out the side, but nothing else. It was crazy. Now this is not the first test. They don't want other teams to be able to counter their new design. An example could be in 2009, when F1 is all about the mind games and deception. Another example of Mercedes using mind games was in 2019, when Ferrari seemed to be miles ahead of everyone in pre-season testing. But of course, Mercedes dominated that season, winning the first 8 races in a row. And then there's Haas. These guys usually do the opposite of sandbagging and do something called glory runs. Basically, they put a really low fuel load in the car and they just send it out on the softest compound of tyre and try and get the quickest lap time. This is usually to get more sponsors because then they look really quick, and I guess Haas kind of need that this year. But if it was up to you, would you rather sandbag and give the other teams a false sense of security, or would you just run as normal? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment down below. And while you're down there, please do consider subscribing. It's free, only takes a few seconds, and you can always unsubscribe later if you want. Thanks. Oh yeah, and I also have a Discord and Twitter, both linked below. Please do check them out. Now why do teams try and play mind games on each other? Well, it all stems from the saying from thousands of years ago. All warfare is based upon deception, said Sun Tzu. You see, he also said that deception can involve false maneuvers, fiend attacks, misleading orders of battle, and creating of deceiving indications of strength or weakness in an attempt to influence an enemy's actions. Pretty archaic, right? Now when he wrote these, he was talking about literally going to war. But F1 is actually very similar. You have to use tactics to gain on your enemy and hopefully destroy them. You can also see the likes of Toto Wolff, borrowing and abiding by the concepts from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. One of them being crush your enemies totally, which Toto has been known to say, as well as seemingly following some other laws.
Formula 1 racing is very much like war planning. Let's crush them.
And now on to my final question of why Mercedes are going to fail in 2022. Well, the Silver Arrows have dominated F1 for the past 8 years. But with the biggest shake-up in car design in over 30 years, the gap between the backmarkers and the title contenders would have shrunk massively. Now an example of what could happen to Mercedes that happened last time was to Red Bull. Just off the back of winning 4 titles in a row, in 2014 Red Bull finished 4th in the Constructors' standings.
Editor Connor here. It was actually 2nd, not 4th. I don't know why I said 4th. My memory's just playing tricks on me. Sorry.
Have one car design for 1 week and then another whole new car design for the next week. It just doesn't make sense. While some could say it's all about the mind games again and throw off the other competitors, but why would they waste 3 days of pre-season testing in a car which they wouldn't plan on using in the first place? It just doesn't make sense, unless they have some real big problems. Surely the benefit of testing completely outweighs the benefit of the mind games, but who knows, it's Formula 1 after all. But in the end, this is my channel and these are just my opinions, so I don't know, I just think Mercedes won't do very well this year as they've already had some problems in pre-season testing. But what do you think? Leave a comment down below. Do you think Mercedes will do well this season, or will they fail dramatically? So yeah, with that said, I'd like to thank you for watching. I've been Connor, and I'll see you next time. Bye.